Today, we're gonna find out how far the facelifted Kia EV6 long-range all-wheel drive with its bigger 80 kilowatt-hour usable battery capacity can go on a full charge at 120 kilometers an hour. But today's test does not come without its challenges, especially the weather, it being January in eastern Norway. I'm back in one of my favorite electric cars. I've liked the EV6 since it came out more than 3 years ago, and in the past few years I've driven it a whole bunch of times. But I kind of forgot a little bit about this in 2024 because I drove so many new electric cars. But towards the end of the year, when I went to the Norwegian launch of the EV3, I got to take a sneak peek at the facelifted version of this, which is what we have here, with a new front end, new rear end, new interior bits, a new steering wheel that I love, and also they've deleted all the glossy black plastics in this interior. So yeah, Kia, you guys are crushing it. And also, it's become quieter. They've reduced the noise levels of about 1 decibel on average with this new car. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. So today we are putting this car to the test, and conditions not great. I mean, we have a lot of snow and possibly we're gonna hit a plow truck up the road here. And that probably means we're gonna have to stop and pause this test because we're gonna go really slow. So we're gonna exit here. We don't do this often, but there's a plow truck here, there's traffic, and the traffic's going about 40 kilometers an hour, which will basically destroy this range test. So we're gonna exit here, and then we're gonna stop the timer. We're gonna let all the traffic pass. So that's what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna stop the timer, there we go. But I can give you guys an update. After about 25 minutes on the road, our average consumption is around 29 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers because conditions are pretty bad. I mean, we have a lot of snow on the roads and also not too cold, -1 to 2 degrees Celsius. So we're gonna pick up this maybe in like 20 minutes. Hopefully the battery pack won't get too cold, but we don't have any other choice than to let the traffic roll by us and yeah, try to pick up this test in a little while. So a little change of plans. Instead of going on the motorway and continuing north towards Moelv, I actually opted to start heading south back towards where we started. But instead of exiting where we started, we're gonna go a little bit further south. So we're still gonna be able to go possibly the whole 195 kilometers, which is this route, or close to that at least. Because I think, you know, waiting for that traffic to clear northward and those plow trucks is gonna take a lot of time. And when we were heading north, there was a plow truck on its way south 20 minutes ago. So I think this road should be cleared for at least like 30-40 minutes. So we're still gonna be able to get a proper run. Maybe not the full length as we usually do, but guys, you can see the conditions. Like, we got to make the best out of this because we have a lot of snow, and you know, maintaining 120 kilometers an hour, I really want to stay in the right lane here where, you know, it's dry, not in the left lane where we have a lot of snow. It's safer driving here. We're about 10 kilometers south of where we normally start and end this trip at the IONITY Charters in Dal, but what we're going to do now is that we're going to exit here to where we used to start and end these trips at Esso in Gardermoen, because yeah, plow trucks on the northbound portion of the E6 motorway, and this is going to get more and more chaotic. So we're going to stop the timer here now, and we're going to run a shorter range test, only 127 kilometers covered. But what we're going to do is that we're going to go to the Charters over here, which should peak at like 225. And yeah, they are also available. So we're going to connect now after an hour and 15 minutes on the road, and see what kind of charging speed we're going to get now. Just, you know, passive preconditioning of the battery. And guys, yeah, today, I mean, I tried to do this range test and usually go at 120 kilometers an hour, but because of the conditions, even me, an experienced, you know, EV driver, an experienced driver on this route, you know, I'm used to going fast. I've driven so many cars for so many years. and I'm really confident on this route. And even with these conditions, even for me, it was hard maintaining that 120 kilometers an hour because, you know, just even with slight and soft inputs into the steering wheel, you know, going through the curves and the bends, it was really slippery. Like the traction control kept intervening and just canceled the adaptive cruise control. So I don't think it's realistic for anybody to travel at 120 kilometers an hour under these conditions for a longer period of time. But we still did the test and we're gonna see the results at the end. But first, let's connect and see what charging speed we get after an hour and 15 minutes on the road, passive preconditioning. I just want to show you guys quickly the car after driving a little more than an hour with these conditions. And look how much snow we have accumulated. And that's why, you know, the consumption isn't going to be as low as if it was, you know, dry or wet, even with colder temperatures, because this snow, this is going to create drag. Take a look at the rear end. This is insane. Look at that, guys. I'm just going to walk around here and you guys can see. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, don't tell me that that's not going to have an effect on the consumption. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure that this is going to disrupt the airflow and create more drag. And also check this out, guys. Look at this. Yeah, the charge port is somewhere behind here. Look how much snow there is. Okay, so we press that. Come on. There we go. It was able to open. So we haven't been here for a while, actually since Recharge was a sponsor here on the channel, maybe like 6-8 months ago. I don't really remember, but we used to, you know, start at these chargers for, yeah, Recharge was like a sponsor here on the channel for like 2 years. But what's new here now is that they have a payment terminal, so you just tap your card, really easy on all of these chargers. So that makes everything so much easier with charging. So we're right here with 51% stated charge and average consumption of 28.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is high. And also, let's take a look at the charge speed at 51% stated charge. I'm guessing we're not going to get very high of a charge speed because, you know, not preconditioning the battery and also at a high percentage. But this car should peak at like, is it like 220 or 240? No, 240 I think this battery pack should peak at if we were at the low stated charge and the battery pack was warm. But as you guys can see now, yeah, we're not getting more than 63, 64 kilowatts, which is, I guess it's okay, but not great. Now let's take a look at the results. So if we take the usable battery capacity of this facelifted Kia EV6 long range all-wheel drive, which is 80 kilowatt hours usable, we divide it by the consumption, 28.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then we subtract 3% for heat and discharging losses. That gives us a theoretical range under today's conditions, pretty poor conditions, of 275 kilometers. And I think considering the conditions, considering the weather, that is actually not bad. Yes, that consumption is high. Yes, 275 kilometers of range isn't a lot, but considering snow, and going 120 kilometers an hour when that was basically almost impossible to maintain over, you know, the route because of the plow trucks, because of other cars moving slowly, because even the delta passing other traffic was, you know, sometimes a little bit sketchy, a little bit too big. I would not recommend anybody to go at 120 kilometers an hour under these conditions, even though I did that in this test just to get the range. Shows you that, yeah, in the real world, you're not going to have a problem with the range, even in winter when it's cold. But if we take a look at, you know, earlier test of this car, we tested the pre-facelifted version with the smaller battery pack, 74.0 kilowatt hours usable, back 3.5 years ago, when it was a little bit milder, between 2 and 3 degrees Celsius, but we had wet and rainy conditions instead. With that car, we had an average consumption of below 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And if we had, you know, similar conditions today, I'm pretty sure we would have had similar consumption. And with that, closer to 330 kilometers of range under those conditions. So I don't think that is bad. So lastly, before we end this video, let's take a look at the sound and noise measurement. So at 80 kilometers an hour, we did 3 or 4 different measurements and got an average of about 62 decibels. At 100 kilometers an hour, I did 3 or 4 measurements again with an average noise measurement of 64.5 decibels. And at 120 kilometers an hour, it was hard getting proper measurements because the roads were so covered in snow that actually you should have thought that, you know, driving on snow, it's more noisy, but actually it suppresses the noise a lot. So driving on the snow, it was quieter than driving on the bare asphalt. So I wasn't able to do, you know, many proper measurements, but what I was able to read was 65.5 decibels on average. But on my way back to Oslo, hopefully I'm going to be doing more measurements. So I'm going to correct my chart and, you know, possibly, you know, increase that noise level with more measurements. But I don't know. But either way, with all of those measurements, even the ones at 80 kilometers an hour, this is a very quiet car. And if I'm not mistaken, it's at least as quiet as the EV9 and even maybe quieter at speed. And that is impressive. Overall, I really like this car. I like the seating position. I like the new steering wheel design. The steering feel in this is a lot better than the EV9. Yeah, overall, this is just a really, really nice car and still one of my favorites. It's just, you know, a little bit unfortunate that we have these conditions for testing, but hopefully, guys, I'm going to test this car again soon. If you guys watch this video and give this video a thumbs up and yeah, appreciate the EV6. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.